Hey guys, welcome to Coffee Talk. I got a quick note before I get started right here. I'm actually going back to the beginning because I just finished up, but my mic was all jacked up and there's some comical sound coming out on the thing. Dude, it just took me 35 minutes to do this. I don't have the heart to do it again. Persevere if you want. Get a couple laughs at what it sounds like, but I'm going to go ahead and post it anyway because that's all I got. And I will not be here. It's at the end if you can get through the painful mic until the end, but I will not be here next week because I will be in Portland. So, all right, man, enjoy. Hey, good morning. Welcome to Coffee Talk. I've got my fruity cup today and my coffee. I've got my hazelnut in there. It is Sunday morning and it's time to talk about tanks and the world of tanks. Got a few things to go over today, but you can see that we have the holiday garage is gone and we're back to the drudgery of January and the new year. I have a Poodle. I'm going to talk about how you can get one of those for a little cheaper out there today. We'll dive into the sales. We'll talk about the specials. We'll discuss this Poodle. You can get it for gold. Number two is we'll talk about bonds and the grand hunt. So we've got a big thing coming up. We're going to get a lot of bonds. Actually, a pretty good deal there. Third thing we'll talk about is a little bit more chicanery on the part of wargaming. Just little things that they do to annoy us that they really don't need to. This one you may be aware of, some of you out there. Has to do with tank rewards. Number four, we're going to dive into the Soviet line, some of the things that are changing on the Soviet line. That's in 9.22, and then we're going to have the HD maps after that. There's a couple things to note there. Remember, that's still in test at this point, so hopefully some of these issues are fixed before they come live, but you know how that goes. On the fifth one, I'll have a quick update on YouTube and yours truly, so let's get started. All right, for these specials right now, let's get our shill on. It's all not negative wargaming, or it's not all negative. Anyway, we got the Serve S1 that's on sale. You can do that for 7 days. You can still get the Loza, but that's only for 21 hours if you're interested in that thing. Standard specials here. The only thing I will note or add to it, if you go to the specials tab right here and dive down to here, you'll note that you can get 10 garage slots for half off, which is actually a pretty good deal right there if you're looking to expand your garage. You get a lot of garage slots through different specials and things, but this one, if you need a chunk to get a few more tanks in your garage, that's actually a pretty good deal. This weekend is almost over, the 22nd, obviously tomorrow is Monday, in case you didn't know that came after Sunday. But we've got some pretty good discounts here. So it's a ×3, you got a 50% credit on equipment. So stock up on equipment or buy stuff that you may need. That's a fantastic deal, especially for the more expensive stuff that's 500, 600,000. 50% gold on crew, training, skill resets, and respec. This is awesome right here. This is a good deal. So if you've got some crew you wanted to fix, now's the time to do it if you've got the gold. Also, interestingly, 50% off on premiums 2 to 5 and 30% off 6 and 8s. That's where the Poodle comes in. We'll talk about that in just a minute. In addition to that, discounts on regular vehicles up to tier 7. So if there's anything you're grinding vehicles you were waiting to buy, that's a pretty good deal there. So this is a decent weekend for saving either credits or gold. So I mentioned the discounts on the gold, and I mentioned that I have a Poodle, and what I didn't really realize, and this is probably pretty funny for some out there, especially if you're considering I played the game for 6 years. You will notice that there is no tech tree for the Polish, so you can't really go here and go, all right, which one of these can I buy for gold? You know, you've got some of the gold tanks that, you don't see one here because I have most of them, but this guy might here be able to be bought for gold here, and it would tell me how much gold, and I could click on and buy it. Well, what I didn't really think about is, since these guys don't have a tech tree, this is actually buyable by gold, and because it's discounted right now, it's a pretty good deal. If you just got a bunch of gold or Christmas on a discount, you can now get yourself a Poodle on a discount. Just go over here to here and click on that, and you can see that, boom. Just go ahead and sort or select by Poland. select by Poland, and now you've got 2,555 gold, and you're saving 1,100-ish without doing all the math in public right there. So not a bad deal. If you're looking for that guy getting ready for the Polish line, you can pick it up at a discount. And since you probably got a bunch of discounted gold, so you're at a discount. All right, missions aren't a big deal this week. Not much going on really. 50B is on track. For the tank masteries, those are still going. What are they? We've got the T-28 Proto, Black Prince, 54E1, and the Stewart. We got another tank mastery still going. These do overlap on occasion, so you can see those 4 tanks there in your missions tab. And then tank rewards is going on. This one is the same as the last month, but it's only about 20 days long. And it is tier 9 and 10, 7 and 8, and then 4 to 6 of the 3 categories. You need to be top 3 with a win. There was some speculation early on when the news came out that this didn't require a win, but apparently that was just not in the verbiage standard with wargaming. Clearly it is. You can see right here it says you must win and you need to be top 3 by the following parameters of, and you have to click, as always, experience earned. Why can't experience earned be? I don't know. We've discussed that ad nauseum. As you can see, I'm at 7 of 55, and the top reward is at 40 points, I believe, so you have some wiggle room to miss a few in there. And then the only other thing going on right now is hunt the sheriffs. Not a whole bunch on the missions. All right, so moving on to the grand hunt for bonds. This is actually kind of an interesting idea right here that they've got going on. So what's happening is for today and to the January 19th, starts in January 19th and the last 3 days. Why they wouldn't say 19 to 22 or... This is another example of whoever writes for this website being so obtuse sometimes. Starts January 19th, the last 3 days. All right, well, what day does it end? Okay, math in public. The 22nd, I guess that sounds about right. It must be a weekend thing. In any event, all the bonds that are won during this weekend, essentially, are then thrown into a pool. You still get your bonds. It's not like they take them away, but it adds up, and that's the counter. This is actually Bonds Grand Hunt, which was a thing to click on, obviously, on the main page. Even though in here they say they're going to have a counter on the main page, it's not on the main page. It's actually within the page that's the Grand Hunt. So, standard. Why they didn't just put this on the front page, I don't know. But here it is, 9,600. Wow. 966,017. This math in public is always so dangerous. Updated every hour, I think, is what it says. So check back next hour to see where we are. That's a lot of bonds. So if we go to, I'm assuming that's NA, not as in not applicable. Anywho, bad jokes aside, stage 2 then is where you can get up to 250 bonds, and it's going to come out of this pool. Basically, we're going to go until they're all gone. And each day, if you play 15 battles a day where you reach the top 10 in your team, that's quite a bit, actually. Fulfilling, you'll get 100 bonds. So 15 battles, top 10, that's quite a grind, actually, each day. And if you earn 13,000 pure experience, let's talk about that in a moment. This one's more complicated, but guarantees 150 bonds. So if you grind out 13,000, all right, what's pure experience? Well, usually they call it base experience, since that's what they call it on their accounting page when you find out your battle results. Unless there is a different meaning of pure experience, I'm assuming it's the base experience point you see when you come out of battle. And it is only upgraded by a premium account, unless pure means before upgraded by a premium account. Maybe that's a different type of experience, but I'm assuming it means base experience, which would be either just plain old base or base plus your premium account. All right, so what that really means is you're not going to get ×2 from what I can gather, and you're not going to get anything from your personal reserves, which would make 13,000 happen really fast. It's a bit of a grind, but if you're going to play 15 and attempt to get top 10, you're more than likely going to get to that 13,000, unless you're playing a bunch of tier 2 and tier 3 tanks in there. So that's going to go until, I assume, whatever this number turns out to be at the end of the weekend. Probably get to 1 million, I'd assume, if we're already at 966,000 or over. And that is the Grand Hunt. All right, for the latest wargaming chicanery, not a big deal in the large scheme of things, but just another annoyance. I continue to not understand why they do things like this. So here we are on tankrewards.com, right? This is the last one, the snow tanks. I got to the top level and I ended up getting a rammer, some equipment and stuff, these boosters. And I actually won a T28E with F30, which was cool. And I selected the Stir M4257 Alt 2 because I made it to that level. And I did that on, I want to say Thursday or Wednesday, whenever it was it came up. And I jumped in there, and the website actually worked, so good on them. They had issues with that in the past. There was no latency or timing out or any goofiness with the web page, so that all worked just fine. And it came back and it said, "All right, good job, dude. You did it." And then on 19 January, right here, 19 January, you're going to get all your goodies. I'm like, great. I have the Stir. I selected it for that reason. It happened to be the one that was worth more. The other one was a TOG, I believe, and this one's worth 100 gold more. Because if you have the tank in Tank Rewards, then you get the gold. And that was just a freebie. I have that one as well, and it was another, I don't know what it was, 1,500, 1,800, whatever the gold is in that thing. So great. So I click all those, and I come in on Saturday morning or later Friday afternoon when the new missions and discounts, which is the key, are up. So we'll go ahead and get out of this here. And I jump over and I look into my garage, and lo and behold, I look at my gold total, which was a little higher than this at the time. And I say, well, wait a minute, that doesn't meet the number I thought I was getting. And I came down here and I looked at this, and I looked through what I got, and I went, oh, well, why did I not get the full amount? Well, you've already guessed the answer, more than likely. You could have called it up right here. Guess what? There's a sale this weekend, and the policy is, I need a drink of coffee. Too bad it's not spiked with something. The policy is that you only get the discounted price if it's on discount. I mean, come on, Wargaming. It was about 1,000 gold. I'm assuming I also got the discounted price on the F30, so I got a little less there. Man, oh man, oh man. What, first of all, it just plain old looks bad. It really does. It looks like you timed the sales to screw people out of the gold, of a measly 1,000. Now, it looks like that. It's probably not that. It's probably not on purpose. But if you can write the code to give the tanks to people, if you can write the code for the prices of the tanks to decrease them on a weekend, you can also put the exception in there that for tank rewards, when you do something like this, you get the full price. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's a measly 1,000 gold. Now, I sound like I'm whining about a measly 1,000 gold. That's not even it. It's just stupid. It is. It's so stupid. So, of course, a bunch of people jump on the forum and get all irritated by it, send in requests and tickets, and they get the pat answer, hey, it's our policy. I'm like, okay, guys, I get it. It's your policy. It's a stupid policy. It's just that little irritation to your player base that does not need to happen. If people just got the gold, they'd be so happy. But what you've taken something that could be a net positive and turned it into just another little irritation for people for no good reason. It's unlikely that your company is going to go under because you gave the full price for a tier 6 premium tank that a few people in your customer base happen to actually already own. It's incredible, man. I mean, I don't get it. I do not get it. Why do they continue to do things like that? So essentially, for all you out there in Guido land or Tactics Talk, Coffee Talk land, if you have not gone to tankrewards.com, wait till Monday, and then you can get the full price. So hopefully I caught some procrastinators who are now going to benefit and profit from their procrastination. It's too late for me, though, guys. Go on without me. Actually, I do want to add one thing to that I thought about during this whole process of thinking about this little snafu. Why is this not automated? I don't understand why I'm going to another web page to select the things. Why don't you write it into your client, into the UI? And how come when I select it, it doesn't immediately come to my garage? I have to wait 3 days. I don't get that. It makes no sense. All right, so the Soviet line is changing quite a bit. And we'll get into what it looks like. This is the page for Wargaming right here, talking about reshaping the object. And it's got the standard interesting verbiage. It goes back to my comment earlier on who in the heck is writing all this stuff. But Object 430 has always been a decent Tier 10 medium. It had what it takes to become a popular choice for those who opt for close-range fights, as opposed to sniping out rivals or assisting frontline folks from mid-range. So it says it had what it takes to be popular, and then it comes in here and says it wasn't popular. I realize it's talking about close fighting, but essentially it was a clone of the other ones. They all fight the same. The point of all this is they're trying to discuss about how the tank doesn't fight like its predecessors, the rear turreted 416 and 430 version 2. So they're going to re-wicker this, put another rear turreted guy at tier 10, move the 430 down, get it its own line. The 430U will be the follow-on to the 430. And there's a lot of verbiage in here about how that's going to happen. Interesting ideas about why they think it needs to happen. One of the things they always get fixated on lately is this whole it has to fight the same as other tanks in its line. It's a Soviet medium with a good turret and decent front armor. I don't know what to tell you, man. It fights exactly the same as a 430 version 2, fights the same as a 140, fights the same as a 160, as a 262A. It just does. Whatever your intentions are, don't matter, brothers, because it's the same damn thing. It also gets in there and discusses, well, you know, it's going to be the assault medium because the T-44 has the awesome 122, which nobody puts the 122 on the 44. What are you talking about? Essentially, then it's going to become the WZ-120 and clicked on that. WZ-120 and what's the fallen 121? Kind of the Chinese big stick mediums is what we're looking at with this tank. So let's click on here and just real quick, I talked about this a little bit, but this is nicely done and it's not in Russian, so we can actually read it. Here is the 268 to the 704, then the 268-4 and the 263 moving down to tier 9. And remember that the 122-54 is going away. Why it didn't stay as a special vehicle, I don't know. That was kind of the precedent that was set. So they must have follow-on plans with it, but I still have to say that was a precedent that was set, so why the change? Anyway, on from there. There is an issue with the Su-101 and the 101M. They did something weird. I can't remember what it was, but one of them got nerfed and the other one's actually better than the other. I'll get to that later on another coffee talk. If we get down here, then we got the 430 going to the 430U. That's what I talked about right there. And the 54 goes to the 140 and the T62A. And the 432 version 2 goes to a coming soon. This is a little misleading because the tier 10s are mixed in here a little bit. You can see that they didn't have enough room here to put them all in one line. But so the 430 is the 9 that got moved down to 9. It goes to 430U, which will be put into the game in 9.22. And then you got some of the heavies going on down here. We'll get into the heavies, but the 57 actually will, because the 57 is what we're going to talk about in just a moment. Some of the issues with the armor on that, and another one of the tanks that's coming in soon as well. So that's what's going on. The 430 version 2 does not have a tier 10 right now, so you will not see that go to tier 10. And the T10, which is actually being replaced by a tank we'll talk about in just a minute, does not have a tier 10 coming in. I'll have to look at this. Stay tuned, because on the next section I'll sort this out, but I thought the T10 was leaving. Let's talk about that in a second as soon as I figure it out. Alright, so I got the talking too fast, plus I'm stupid. This is interesting. What it said is the T10 gets replaced. Well, it doesn't really get replaced. It gets moved. The 705 is in its place, leading to the 705 Alpha. Well, actually, you know what? Maybe it's not its place. Ignore me. Just look at the stupid list. From the IS, let's back it up to the beginning. From the IS splits to the ISM, the new tier 8, and the IS3. The IS3 then can get you the 257 or to the D10, going to a coming soon, and this one going to the old IS7. For the ISM, it goes to the 705, which is one of the new problematic tanks, up to the 705 Alpha. Clear as mud. All right, I think we got that sorted out. All right, let's dive into some of the problems with these tanks right away. As always, I'm diving into this a little bit more just to try to give you guys some ideas on what's coming up in the future. I don't get too crazy about stuff that's on test. Certainly not super test, and usually not common test. Hopefully they get changed and things will change along the way. Unfortunately, right now, the 705 as it sits is a bit silly. 300 millimeter thick stock turret all the way around. Some people are speculating maybe there was a mistake made right there. I suspect so. More than likely they'll fix that, but that's one issue they found already on that one. And then the 257 is probably even worse because it looks like a more complete model on it. And what it's got is this very, very highly angled hull. And I found this as an example on another page. This is actually a pretty cool page called you may already know about it, Tank Archives, and they've got a lot of good drawings and technical information and history and all that good stuff. But you can see that the side of it is even highly angled. So unlike just the front being very highly angled, it's thickly armored and highly angled on the sides. It's got a really interesting shape when you see the tank out there. But the problem is, based on the angling and how this game is played and the way the game mechanics work with the shots and with the ammo, is basically impenetrable as it sits, especially for stuff same or lower tier. Bigger guns at same tier will probably be able to get to it, but the lower tier stuff are just it's going to lull bounce everything. And the problem with that is it reduces flanking as an effective counter tactic to it, which is about all this game has as far as getting around super strong front armor, other than dabbing too, obviously, that kind of thing. But for some of the lower tier stuff, getting around to the side of it is going to be very problematic. So you can see this is actually taken off of the Daily Bounce, and so Harkonnen has some information on there if you want to take a deep dive into what's going on. Just be advised that there are some issues with some of these tanks. If some of them come out in the format that they're currently in, you may want to grab it quickly so that you can run around and be ridiculously overpowered. I hate to recommend that, but sometimes if you can't fight them, join them. All right, so YouTube is changing their requirements for their partner program. And I was kind of surprised when they sent me the note and said, hey, you're eligible for the partner program for the low-level aspect of it. You needed 10,000 views, I think it was, and I got that. And it took me a while to get that, obviously. I never thought I was going to make a lot of money. I never expected to, but it's always that kind of carrot thing where you think maybe something could go on. I could pick up some speed, make this thing happen. I don't know how much money I've made. $6, $10, something like that. Which I haven't made. It's all monopoly money because you can't take any out until you make 100. So YouTube's interesting because essentially what's going on here is it's free, so anyone can watch it. Anyone can upload something to it. You can create an account for free, and then everything's run off of the ad revenue that comes in off it. So whoever goes there and looks at YouTube, and then advertisers are on YouTube, and then they pay YouTube money to have their advertisements on there. And if you're a content creator and you make enough good content that's viewed enough, then you get to share some of the ad revenue coming out of that. So it's that kind of big symbiotic relationship thing going on, which is nothing new to everybody. But what's also going on is they're relying on a bunch of the small content creators to bring in people. So that if you have a niche thing like I'm doing with the World of Tanks aimed at kind of older players trying to get a better idea, that I bring in a few people and they may then wander around the YouTube landscape and click on a few other things along the way. Maybe dive into some of the bigger YouTube content creators, and I am essentially a form of free advertising. So I'm given a platform to put my videos on, and then at the same time I bring in, albeit a very small group of people, but more than zero, and they jump in on YouTube and help YouTube make money. At least that's the theory of what's going on. So they lowered the threshold looking to bring in more content creators to give them that carrot. Hey, you can make money at this. And clearly the vast majority of people aren't going to make any money out of it. But that's kind of the dream, right? Little carrot, maybe I can make it happen if I'm good enough. I'll eventually become big and I'll make some money. I'm not saying that's necessarily what I was trying to do here because I'm so niche I'm not going to get there. But that's a general idea, I think, for a lot of new YouTube content creators. So two things happened along the way to the YouTube park right here. Number one is the whole ad situation was unsustainable and probably not a good business plan to begin with. So the money that was being splashed out was out of proportion to what probably the companies were getting out of their advertisements. So they started to scale this thing back a little bit right off the bat. And what they've done then is there's something else that's happened too, which is interesting. What they've currently done is now you've got to have 1,000 subscribers, which I'm not close to, and 4,000 hours per month of viewing. I'm not even close to that. I want to say I'm about 400 and 300 something. So I would have to increase my hours of my stuff that's viewed by tenfold, and I would have to have 3 times the amount of viewers that I currently have right now. And if the viewing is tenfold increase, then I probably need something like a tenfold increase in viewers. That 1,000, 4,000 seems to be a little bit off on the math. I don't know what their average video length is. I want to say it's probably somewhere in the 5 to 10, 15 minute range, to be quite honest. These coffee talks are a lot longer than most people will sit through, as an example. Y'all are crazy if you're here actually at the 30th minute. I'm trying to drive my viewership away at this point. Maybe it's my problem with my business plan. The other thing that they had going on here is interesting, because that Logan Paul guy, I think it's Logan Paul, Logan Paul. So, wargaming. So YouTube has an issue with a lot of inappropriate videos that they call inappropriate. And they like to bring up stuff like I don't want to say the word, inappropriate stuff with kids, terrorism, that kind of thing. So in order to fix that, they cast this wide net that catches all kinds of stuff. I keep getting my videos tagged inappropriate for all audiences. There's no rhyme or reason. There's some kind of automated algorithm that looks at it, whether it's some kind of word. I mean, maybe there's a word in my title that says destroy or blow up. Or I don't know. It's hard to tell what it is. And what's interesting, actually, what a couple times has happened. I had a couple videos. My Christmas video was one. It actually starts to gain some traction on viewership, and initially was showed as suitable, and then for like 2 days it goes unsuitable. So I get nothing out of those views, and then it comes back suitable when it's slowed down. Awesome. Thanks, YouTube. That's fantastic. And even if that's not the design, that's what your program is doing, what your algorithm is doing to the small content creators like me. So they've basically upped the bar, and they've also overlaid this egregious algorithm that keeps demonetizing people's videos, and you can't even actually question it until you have, I want to say, 1,000 views on it. So it doesn't matter. I mean, if you get a 500, if you're where am I, 50, maybe if I have a good video it gets up to 80. So 40 or 50 is kind of an average. I may even be highballing that a little bit. I'll never be able to question any of their requirements. Good news is it won't matter because I will no longer be a partner in February, I think it is, when they change this. Good news for you guys is you won't have to worry about the ads anymore, and I won't have to worry about clicking monetize and worrying about whether it is monetized or not. So that's kind of the update on YouTube. I just thought that was interesting maybe to some of you out there on how that thing works and what's going on with YouTube. They got a real problem. They've got to kind of figure this out. And I think that it's going to go badly for them overall, because one of the reasons they have so much content is that carrot was there, and it was a high bar, but not really high. So that people started to kind of, hey, all right, maybe this is something I can do, or maybe it's a side gig, or I just kind of enjoy it anyway. And it's kind of funny that I made $10, now I'm at 12, and maybe now I have 20, and a year later I have $101. So I'll just keep on creating content because I'm doing stuff I like. But what they've done now is they've removed that carrot. The carrot's gone. It's much harder to get there. The entry level is much higher. And as with most things like this, where you have a guild or a union or something like that, once the entry requirements become too high, it makes the rich richer. So the big channels will do fine. They'll keep on trucking. Is it going to hurt them? But they're going to have much less competition from new and upcoming people, because it's just not going to be worth the effort to get in there. So I'm sure YouTube understands that whole dynamic, and they're probably trying to find a sweet spot in between. But for now, there you have it. I won't be a partner program, and I guess they're going to take my $6. Anyway, as far as the Logan Paul video, this is kind of getting off track. I guess I'll probably get eviscerated for this, but so what? I mean, he's just an idiot, right? So he rolls in there and he takes a picture of someone who's there. It's not like he did the act. I don't know, man. People lost their minds. All right, guys. All right, that is it for coffee talk for this week. Got a little bit off track. I try not to get too far into the politics, not real world stuff. We'll talk about wargaming and the tanks and everything, politics, all we want. But anywho, what did we talk about? We talked about sales. You can get the poodle, so grab that thing if you want. We talked about the bond hunt, so that is ongoing. Get out there and get your bonds. Kind of grindy for me. I know I'm a kind of grind player, and I usually get up to these challenges, but I don't know about that one. We'll see how it goes. I'll give you an update. Number 3, Cheesy Wargaming. They ripped me off. I want my $2. Anyway, they didn't need to do that, but they did, because that's what they do. Number 4, the Soviet line. And hopefully I confused the hell out of everybody on the Soviet line. And on number 5, we had a YouTube update. Last thing to talk about is I will not be doing a coffee talk next week. I know, don't cry. I will be out in Portland doing the Global Game Jam with my partner out there. We'll be building a game, ideally in one weekend, so we'll see how that goes. If it's worth the crap, I'll show you what it looks like. That is it for me. If you're in the Portland area, I may be available for a beer or two, so give me a shout down there on the comments. Otherwise, as always, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Laters.